Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, let's get fancy with ZBrush. Let's create something like this. So this is just a female head that is, think of it as like a museum piece or some kind of an art piece. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my lightbox, and I am going to grab, for this, let's just grab this demo head female, double click on it, say no, and now we have something like this. Now, if you go into your tools, right, in here you will see that there's two layers that come with this demo head, and one of them is these eyes, and if I hide the head, you can see it's also they also give us the teeth and the tongue as well. Now, let's not use this. I'm going to delete it and say OK. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to attempt to close the eyelids, right? How do we close the eyelids? I think the best way is just to grab the smooth topological brush, and let's just make it come kind of somewhat large. I'm going to press X to activate my active symmetry, and let's just start pulling these top eyelids down. And I know that it's also affecting the one on the bottom as well, but I'm going to pull these up and then pull these down, right? So we'll do something like this. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can just maybe do a nicer job, just kind of going back and forth. And if you wanted to really shut the eyelids together, right, once you get to something that looks like her eyes are closed, what we could do is we can grab something called inflate, and we can just inflate this a little bit, right? And when we inflate, you can see that they really look like they're closed a lot, right? And of course, holding down the Shift key, I can switch to my smooth, right? And let me turn off the RGB here. And for the smooth, I actually don't want it to be all the way to 100. I'm going to switch this to 30, right? So if I press my Shift, you can see my Z intensity is now set to 30, and I can just very gradually maybe smooth this a little bit and just make sure it looks nice and clean, right? All right, very cool. Let's also subdivide this now since we have that. And we can also decide what type of expression do we want our face to have. Do we want it to be kind of neutral? Do you want to maybe grab the move brush and add a little bit of a smile? We could do that. It's up to you. We can also, of course, change the face, right? Maybe just make it a little more custom. So maybe I can push this in. If I wanted to, I can push the cheeks in this way and just pull these out. Just try to customize the face a little more. If I wanted to maybe make this a little more pointy, I could do that. Just so it doesn't look exactly like the default head, right? I can do something with the nose. Maybe we can just push the nose in just like that. And if we wanted to make the ear a little bit smaller, we could do that. Just a few little touch-ups here and there, right? And I definitely would like to make the neck a little more skinny and longer. How do we extend the neck without making it look super weird? So maybe we can just do something like this and just pull all of this out. And let's say this is sitting on the table somewhere, right? I'm going to jump out of the perspective view, and let's just maybe make it look like it could actually stand on its own, right? So maybe I need a little more volume down here. We'll do something like that, okay? Now, how do I chop this off in the bottom? To clean this up, I'm going to press Control Shift, and I'm going to jump into my quick pick here, and I'm just going to grab this knife rectangular, and again, holding down the Shift key, Control and Shift, I can just slice this and just do something like that. All right. And let's do this. Let's do Control and drag to mask the neck. All right, now let's just unlock our pivot here, and let's just shimmy it over down here, maybe somewhere right there. I'm gonna lock this up, and all I want is I just want the head to look up. So I'm just gonna start moving this up, and you can see as I'm moving this up, it's actually pinching the neck a lot. So I can actually also push it back. So I'll do something like this. And it's just an artistic choice. Again, think of this as like, a little statue of some sort, right? Let's go into a perspective view to get a really better idea of the angle and everything. Let's go into draw, control and drag to get rid of the masking, and now we can, holding down the shift key, we can just clean this up and just make it nice and pretty and clean. I can also maybe do something like this, and I really want to make sure it has kind of a more of an artsy feel to it. So just kind of move this around a little bit. I'm not really going for anything realistic, just more of a stylized kind of a feel, just for fun, right? I can make this jawline a little stronger. All right, very cool. Let's say I like this. Now, what would be the next step? The next step is let's convert. It's currently, you can see it's 12,000. If I turn my poly frame, you can see the topology is super low poly, right? Now, for us to start turning this into a more of a sculpture that we can carve and stuff, right? We need a lot more points. So how do we do that? Let's do Control D, and let's subdivide this a lot until we get to like 800,000. And now I can do Shift and smooth this a little more. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and delete lower. So now I'm just left with the high res one at 800,000. Let me jump out of the perspective view, and I still wanna keep this bottom nice and clean. Control Shift, let me just slice this. Now I have something like that. All right, next, let's go ahead and turn this into Dynamesh. To do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply click on Dynamesh, but I do want to make sure that my sculpt stays around the same resolution. Right now it's at 828,000. So let's find something that makes sense. Let's set this to maybe 1024, and let's just click Dynamesh. All right, you can see that it took me to 1.5 million points, and everything else looks really good. I can do a little bit of a polish to make sure that I maintain kind of nice and clean geometry. Next, let's do this. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. So now we have two of them, right? That's going to take us to 3 million. And I'm going to take the middle one and I'm going to deflate it by dragging this to the left by just simply -2. Very little. Next, I'm going to turn on my live booleans and click on this little button right here. It looks like nothing happened, but now if I go to the top layer, if I take my cut tool and just cut the top of the head, you can see that it's actually is now completely hollow, right? There's nothing in there, which is exactly what I wanted. Let me go ahead and undo this. All right, now let's just make some selection of, let's mask out pieces that we can subtract from the main head part, right? So I'm gonna press Control, and let me select something like the mask pen, and let's just simply create pieces that we can use to punch a hole through or subtract, right? So we can decide what that looks like. Maybe we could do something like this. I do have my symmetry turned off, so I'm only doing this on one side, and maybe you could do something like this. I can also press Control and Alt if I wanted to clean something up or change how something is looking. I could do that. Let's just do maybe one here as well. All right, very cool. Now I have a few pieces that I could use to subtract it, and again, I'm not doing it symmetrically, right? It's just on one side, just a personal preference. Now, how do I turn this into geometry? I can just go to Extract, and let's just give it some thickness. So maybe we'll do, let's make sure the double is turned on because we want to extract it up and inside as well, right? And let's just maybe crank this up a little more and do Extract. We could see what that looks like. It's pretty much perfect for what I was looking for, so I'm going to go ahead and say Accept. And as soon as I say Accept, a new layer was created. I'm going to press Control and drag to get rid of my mask. Now I'm left with something like this, right? Now, because Live Booleans is turned on, as long as I turn this button on, these pieces will be subtracted from this main shape. So let's go ahead and turn that on. And there you go. So now you have this cool looking effect where it looks like there's almost like these holes, and of course there's some strangeness going on with the ear. If you want to take the time to go in there and slice that and clean that up, you can. For this example, I'm just going to leave it alone because my render is not going to be seen from every angle. I'm just kind of creating, you know, something like this, I think is what I was looking for. Now that looks pretty cool. If I wanted to, I can select this main mesh, and it has a lot of polys, so we can do some cool stuff to this, right? Let's add some more detail to this so we can add additional cracks in the outer shell. And to do this, let's just grab something like the chisel brush. You can click on brushes, and you can see there's chisel right here. Make sure your stroke is set to dots, and let's just make our brush kind of small. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take this outer shell and push it in, and by pushing it in, it's going to create cracks because it's gonna intersect with our subtracted layer, right? So you can see what that's gonna look like if I start dragging this. And I also have my lazy mouse on, which maybe I can turn down just a little bit. All right, so now I can attempt to create kind of a cool cracks that are going around the face. We can do something like that. If I wanted to connect the lines, you can do that, but very carefully, right? Because you can see if you start to intercept it, it's gonna start creating kind of really strange artifact. Let's say I don't want that. Let's say I need to fix this by going to morph target. Let's go ahead and say store morph target. And now if we try this one more time, it should do a much better job intersecting each other, right? So now I can very quickly go around and create something, you know, somewhat unusual as far as the cracks go. Alright, so we can do much more, but I just want to show you the technique and not really, you know, get carried away with putting too much time into this. But now if I do a BPR, you can see what that looks like. And it looks pretty cool. The shadows are a little bit too strong in here, so I can always go to render. I can go to BPR shadows, and let me just dial these down a little more. It's a little bit too strong. Let's try this again. Alright, so that looks much better. If I wanted to bake all of these booleans in, right, I can always go to subtools, and now what I could do is I can go to booleans, and in here I can just say make boolean mesh, right? As soon as I press on that, ZBrush is going to give me another tool. If I come up here, I can see there's something called U mesh. If I click on that, this is going to be a mesh that is completely baked in. You can see it doesn't have any layers. Even if I turn on live booleans at this point, everything is actually kind of baked in, and this is the final result of the mesh, right? And right now it is 2.6 million. So if I wanted to bring this into something like Maya for Arnold rendering, or if I wanted to bring it into Blender for Cycles or Eve rendering, I definitely don't want to bring in 2.6 million points. That's just not necessary. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm gonna actually take this and let's go to our Z plugins, and under decimation, I don't have any poly paint here, so I'm gonna turn that off. That's fine. Let's do a pre-process current. All right, so once it finishes, I'm gonna leave it on 20% by default and just say decimate. And then watch this number right here, just went from 2.6 million down to 528,000. Which is much more manageable, right? If we turn on our polyframe, we can see that it's still super dense. So if I ended up sculpting additional detail to this face, obviously all of that would be there, right? Because it's still super dense. But now at 528,000, you can export this out as an FBX and render it out in your favorite 3D package. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you made something really cool, and I will see you guys in our next one.